Hi guys, how are you all doing? The transfer window finally opened up after 4 months of being firmly shut, and plenty of teams have already made a big splash. This video rounds up 5 guys who have already been added to the player pool of Fantasy Premier League, and what you guys can expect. First up is Gabriel Jesus. Man City's £27 million signing is just 19 years old and has been described by none other than Pele as a better player than Neymar. The Brazilian international, who is a hefty £9 million on Fantasy Premier League, actually reached agreement with Manchester City back in the summer, but he stayed with Palmeiras in the Brasileiro to fire them to the 2016 title, at the same time winning the Golden Ball for Brazil's best player. In 27 games, the centre forward, who can also play on either wing, tallied 12 goals and 5 assists while averaging 2.8 shots per game. With City still fighting on 4 fronts this season, expect Jesus to be thrown straight into the team. Next up is a player that some of you will actually be familiar with, the huge centre forward Rudy Gestede, who recently signed for Middlesbrough and has spent time in the Premier League for Aston Villa and Cardiff City. Priced at a bargain £5 million on Fantasy Premier League, Gestede made just 18 appearances for Villa in the Championship in the opening half of the season, scoring only 4 goals and picking up 1 assist, but he did only start 8 of those games. In his 8 starts, Gestede won an average of 8.9 aerial duels per game, which was more than any other forward in England's second tier. Gestede will serve as a backup to Alvaro Negredo, and therefore his value is not particularly high, but at just £5 million, he could be that third striker that sits on your bench and comes on to get you points every once in a while. Champions Leicester City, meanwhile, moved to sign Wilfred Ndidi, reaching an agreement with Genk for the £17 million January signing on December the 3rd, and the 20-year-old actually made his debut in the FA Cup win at Everton last weekend. Ndidi spends most of his time employed as a central midfielder of the defensive variety and will serve as another option alongside Danny Drinkwater, Daniel Amati and Nampali's Mendy as they continues to struggle to replace the gargantuan presence of N'Golo Kante. His stats in the Europa League this season for Genk, where he averaged 7 tackles and 4.8 interceptions per game across 6 fixtures, show that Leicester may well have bagged themselves a gem. Indeed, he costs a tempting £5 million on FPL, and even though he scored 2 goals in the Europa League earlier this season, he's unlikely to be on the radar of many FPL players and may well be a contrarian pick as a result. Sticking with youth, Ademola Lookman is the latest player to roll off the Charlton Athletic production line, and at £10 million is the most expensive League One departure ever. Lookman didn't arrive at Charlton until he was actually 16 years old and has no academy background to speak of. The youngster hit the first team last season and scored 5 goals in 24 games. Charlton rejected an offer from close rivals Crystal Palace in the summer, and Lookman went on to get 7 goals and 2 assists in 25 games in all competitions before moving to Merseyside. Ronald Koeman has shown a willingness to blood youngsters in his opening season at Goodison, and Lookman is a bargain £5.5 million on FPL. Finally, an old friend returns to the Premier League fray in the shape of controversial midfielder Joey Barton, a free agent signing for Burnley who costs just £4.5 million on Fantasy Premier League. The 34-year-old played just 9 times for Rangers before falling out with the club hierarchy and returns to a Burnley side that he helped to power to promotion last season, contributing 3 goals and 2 assists in 38 games, and averaging 2.9 tackles and 2.2 interceptions per game. There's no doubt he'll play for Burnley eventually, but he could have a betting ban hanging over him from the FA, and at just £4.5 million, he might be a bench option if you're looking for one who will step in when some of your other players are either injured or suspended. So that's it for now in terms of new arrivals. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up below, and if you visit my channel page, there are plenty of other fantasy football videos to get you ready for this weekend's action. Subscribe to stay up to date, and good luck this weekend. Thank you very much for watching.